Hello, my name is Jasmine Sigüenza, and today I will be talking about something that stood out to me that I studied for my final project. This is based off of our course question. Our our course question is, what are the impacts of visual culture and what are the intersections between visual culture and the people in Latin America over time? In other words, how are people using, relating to, or recreating, or even destroying visual culture in Latin America over time? Something that really stood out to me in this final project was a project by Susan Meiselas, which was titled Nicaragua Home. So today I'm going to talk about this project and how it helps me understand visual culture, especially in the context of Latin America. Susan Meiselas is a documentary photographer. She's best known for her work in Nicaragua during the late 1970s when the country was experiencing a revolution against the Somoza dictatorship. She didn't originally go to Nicaragua to document war in the traditional aspect. Instead, she was interested in understanding people's everyday lives and how social and political change was unfolding around each of them. So one of the key ideas that stood out to me from this project that I studied, Nicaragua Home, is the exploration of power and limitation of images. Meiselas reflected that her photographs often captured only the surface of daily life, even though the images show people, protests, and moments of confliction, they couldn't fully express what individuals were feeling emotionally and psychologically. This is something that really opened my eyes um, and stood out to me from this project is how this photographer was aware that photos don't say a million words. Um, I've heard that saying sometimes that a picture can carry a million words, but that's not always the case. And I feel like that's really depicted through this this project is that even though it shows what what they're doing or how they look when they're doing it, it doesn't always show the reality of the circumstances that they're facing. And I believe that that's true for people all around the world, not just Nicaragua, but even showing um pictures of protests and maybe someone yelling a positive chant or something, but because they're yelling and their facial expression looks a certain way, it can come across as aggression when it's really just excitement or even happiness or passion. And so I feel like that was something that really stood out to me from this project. And this connects directly to visual culture because it shows that images don't just record reality, but they also shape how reality is seen and remembered. And visual culture influences how audiences, especially those that are removed from the events and don't necessarily understand the circumstance, it helps them to understand places like Nicaragua. And this this moment that Meiselas um was also writing about, which was something that happened in Gino Tepe. It's when students marched through the street and they were carrying a portrait of sorry if I butcher this, but Arlen Siu, who was a young revolutionary who had been killed a few months prior. And it was a moment that highlights how visual culture is also political. And in the terms of visual culture, Nicaragua Home also shows how images take on lives of their own. And I I just really wanted to acknowledge both the impact and limits of images, and Nicaragua Home encourages us to think critically about visual culture and our responsibility as viewers and receivers of these images, and to understand that images are not neutral and they're ever changing, shaped by many things like history, politics, and human relationships, and they continue to influence how societies understand themselves over time. Thank you.